As we look at the garden, you can see the layout is kind of unique. I have straight rows with cattle panels with cucumbers on them on 3 sides. And then on the back, there's the greenhouse. So it's kind of walled in on all 4 sides with just these entrances in the corners. That is on purpose. That is in order to reduce the airflow. In the mornings, many people don't know this, but if you ever drive by a field and you see fog laying really low over the ground, that is actually carbon dioxide. And plants need carbon dioxide, obviously, to grow, and they soak up carbon dioxide through little receptors on the bottom of their leaves. They actually soak up carbon dioxide from the bottom of their leaves. And whenever you have soil on the ground, it is releasing carbon dioxide. The earth actually breathes out in the morning. That carbon dioxide breathes out. If you have mulch on the ground, hay, or some sort of decomposing material like mulch, it actually produces additional carbon dioxide. But even regular soil releases carbon dioxide in the morning. And up until about 10 a.m., as long as there's not much wind, the earth continues to release carbon dioxide. That's why you see fog, and that low-lying fog especially. And when the earth is releasing that carbon dioxide, if you have too much wind, it will blow the carbon dioxide away. So I try to set up my garden with wind breaks. So we have this row of flowers, kind of like a hedgerow. These are all annual flowers, but they are up pretty early. They're blocking the wind before the tomatoes get planted, really. A cucumber row, which you can see this doesn't have much on it. That's because I grew too many onions nearby it, and the cucumbers came up really late. And then I have this side cucumber row and a cucumber row in the back that you can see. And that blocks the wind for my main crop because I like tomatoes. And so this is the center section of the garden. And you can see the tomatoes. I've already put a second cage on. So these 2 cages are 8 feet tall. Those are cherry tomatoes. They grow very quickly. We're here the 15th of May. They will really start producing here once we get in June and July. We've already picked some cherry tomatoes off of them. You can see there's clusters. Some of them are blushing. That one is probably ready. This is a purple Rosella cherry tomato, and they're delicious cherry tomatoes. I like them because they're delicious. They're also a little bit smaller than regular cherry tomatoes, which if you have kids, big cherry tomatoes means tomato juice everywhere when they eat them. And so we grew those. I also have 2 rows of peppers in here. So there's 4 tomato plants, and then 3 pepper plants, 4 tomato plants, and then 3 pepper plants. When you look at the pepper plants, I do have multiple pepper plants in one cage, because for me, the pepper plants don't usually fill up the cages as well. They will. If you have 1 pepper plant in a cage, it will fill the cage up by the end of the year, but they grow so much slower. You can have 3 in there and it doesn't seem to reduce the production. Tomatoes, 1 plant per cage is plenty. And you may say, well, that's crazy, but that's just how I do it. But with the layout, I change it every year. I don't have one set layout that I use. I'm able to do that because of the mulch on the ground. We don't have set rows where we build up the soil in one spot. We don't till, we just add more mulch. And because we add more mulch across the entire garden, we can plant anywhere we want to in the garden next year. We just clean up all the posts, pull out the posts, move the fences where we want them for next year, and we'll start over. The only thing permanent on this side of the garden is this flower bed row, because my wife has some, what are they called? Eucalyptus, which actually grow into a big tree if you're not careful, so we're going to try to keep those as a bush. They're a good filler material for bouquets, so once those start kicking, there's 3 of them buried in here. We need to clean some of the annuals out around them. This is celosia here and some zinnias. This row is kind of permanent. I like the flowers in the front anyway because it looks nice from the house. And I also like flowers. I always snipe her flower plants that are growing where they're not supposed to. Oh, by the way, all of these flowers just reseeded themselves. She didn't plant flowers in here. So the Cosmos, Zinnia, Celosia, there's Coxcomb, Flamingo Feather, all of that just reseeded itself. So it was planted at exactly the time nature intended. We didn't have to plant any of them. But I always snipe her extra plants, and I like to put them on the end of rows. So you can see this one has a flower at the end of it. We go around. This is, I believe, a Roma tomato. It seems to be kicking up already. Pretty good. Big clusters of four to five tomatoes. You can see a lot of clusters up there. And I may need a third cage or a second cage on it as well. We will see. No third cages. I don't do ladders. And here's another tomato plant. This one actually, you see how full this cage is? This actually had 2 tomato plants in it. So it is too full. There's no opening in the center. But we come down here, and you can see there's a Cosmos and a Zinnia that I sniped to put at the end of my row. Let me show you the tomatoes real quick. When I'm growing the tomatoes on these cages, the goal is to have an open area in the center. That allows for airflow. So what happens with tomatoes is they often grow up and then the canopy closes. So as they get bigger, the canopy closes and they stop letting sunlight through. You can see these are cherry tomatoes. You can see there's cherry tomatoes all up the plant. But as we move in through the cage bars and look down, it's empty, or mostly empty. And that's on purpose. If we allow these to grow toward the center, they will close off sunlight for the rest of the plant. If it stays open, all of those inner leaves can get sunlight as well as the outer leaves. That's why I use these cages that are so big. And I actually prune them to 12 uprights because there's 12 uprights on the cages. And you can see that there, they're kind of wrapped around the uprights. The other thing that makes it easy to do is if I want to pick fruit, I just look down the uprights. There's fruit here. There's fruit here. Fruit here. I just follow down the uprights, and that's where the fruit's going to be because that's where the stems are. Obviously, there are little fruits up there, bigger fruits down here. And so that's very helpful. You don't think of that as being something that's necessary. Keep it simple. Keep it growing.